And welcome to Inside the Program on the Inside Texas Football YouTube channel, powered by InsideTexas.com. I'm your host, Justin Wells. With me, as always, managing publisher at Inside Texas, Eric Nolene, on the road, doing his thing. Before we get into all the stuff you need to know about Sark, recruiting, all that fun stuff, like our video and subscribe to the Inside Texas Football YouTube channel. We are growing, guys. Help us stack on that community. We really do enjoy it. Also, you got to come see us at InsideTexas.com. There really is not a better time. 2 months for $1 will get you through official visit season. Will get you into July, which could be a crazy recruiting month. Not to mention, summer workouts, team stuff, NIL, all the good stuff. IT1 gets you 2 months for $1. Come see us at InsideTexas.com. Eric, they report on June 2nd, man. We're getting closer.
Yeah.
We're getting closer. We're seeing the oasis in front of us. But Sark and those guys and the staff are still working behind the scenes. They're still doing a lot of stuff, not necessarily, football on the field related. They're doing things from fundraising, and he's hanging out in Houston and doing lots of stuff. You posted a great Sark Bites post at Inside Texas yesterday. Please come to IT and check that out. Every time I read Sark Bites, I think of Love Bites by Def Leppard. And so I read it with that sound and that riff and the guitar each time. It actually makes it better. It's a better read. But dig into that a little bit, Eric, and tell me, what's Sark and those guys doing? We know he fundraises for football, but now it seems like he's more of a team player now for the betterment of the program. What's the latest there?
Yeah, I mean it's a big job, and what I heard on about his exploits on Monday was, I came away with the feeling like this guy's becoming as intrinsic part of the program as Matt, or the school, not the program, of the school as Mac Brown was. So basically, on Monday he was at a big Houston fundraiser, and the mission for that fundraiser was just for the betterment of the entire school, not the program, not football, and that was on the heels of the Saturday NIL thing. So I think it was partially sort of scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. With the big donors, but the fact that he's there raising on behalf of the school, not necessarily sports, I think it tells you a lot about him. He always talks about how high he is on the school, how he loves all the other sports. He's always watching the other sports, paying attention to what his fellow coaches are doing. But now it just seems like he's just becoming part of the entire school, not just the program.
And that's why we've mentioned this before, but I've always felt like Sark has the temperament for this job in this climate. In this climate, this is different than it was 10 years ago. And Sark, it may have been a different direction, but now NIL, the portal, there's just so many big factors. NCAA in the House dropping a settlement recently. We'll get into that, more of that at InsideTexas.com soon. You got to come over there and see that. But there's just so many things going on right now. And Sark is a man of many faces. Like, this is a guy that's being able to go to different places and help out in so many ways. Last year they did a little bit of pre-prep on Alabama during the later part of spring and some install in the summertime.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds like Michigan might be getting a little bit of that. They're looking at, they're paying attention a little bit what the Wolverines are doing on that side. What are the notes and nuggets you've heard about, as they're obviously going in June 2nd, but Michigan's on their mind for week 2 and for good reason.
Yeah, Michigan's already been entirely broke down. Not just Michigan, but with the new staff members that bring to the table, they've already gone over those schools. Those not schools. I can't say school with Wake Martindale because he was at with the New York Giants. So they've broken down the New York Giants, breaking down a lot of NFL tape.
Wow.
Because now he's the new defensive coordinator for the Wolverines. So and Sark makes no bones about it. He said, "I'm lucky to be at a place like Texas that has all the resources to where I can advance scout this far ahead." And really, they've broken down everybody. They've broken down every other team on the schedule so far. I'm not saying it's game week prep. They're not. They don't have it dialed into that degree.
Right.
But they've got a good enough idea of what concepts are going to work for their team this year, and they're going to start instituting that over the summer months. They're not. They're not going to say, "Hey, this is what we're going to run against." Arkansas. This is not we're going to run against Georgia on October 18th. But it's concepts that they think are going to work against the schedule that they have in front of them. But yeah, they've broken down Michigan, and they feel good about it.
I hear Wink Martindale, and I think blitz, and then I think game shows.
Yeah.
And so and I'm curious why Sharon Moore didn't move Pat Sajak into an offensive analyst position at some stage, but Michigan's doing it right, and Sark's doing it right. And you know who else does it right? Andre the lawyer. That guy is clutch. He's always there for you. If you're injured, you need to call Andre the lawyer. He's located in Dallas, Texas, and he helps all injured Longhorns, tall and wide, far and from, car wrecks, slip and falls, 18-wheeler accidents, on-the-job injuries, wrongful deaths, anything. When you're in that position, it can be one of the worst parts at times of your life. Andre the lawyer is there for the save. He's there to help you out. He's there to come with the blitz. And you need to make him a part of it. 214-444-8808. Give Andre the lawyer a call. Give him a shot. He's a good one, guys, and we sure do appreciate all his help at InsideTexas.com. 214-444-8808.
I might have to call him. I feel a little injured after being out in New Braunfels last night. If there's an echo, I'm at my best friend's house, just a couple steps away from the Guadalupe. We still have popcorn ceilings here, buddy. I don't know. He doesn't invest in his house because he just likes the real estate near the river. But if there's an echo, I apologize.
There's no echo. It's all good here. It's all gold, and your boots are on the floor. You're on the ground. So that the team always knows that. We're going to shift this thing into recruiting, because if there's one thing we do well, it's team. If there's another thing we do well, it's recruiting. And Brandon Brown, my man, this is going to be a recruitment that we have told fans, listen, he committed to Texas sight unseen, and that's a little rare. And anytime you get an out-of-state commitment early, you got to bird dog him until signing day. That's just the rules. Brandon Brown's out of Melbourne, Florida, committed back in the day, finally made his trip up earlier this spring, him and his family to meet Kenny Baker, to really get closer to Sark and the staff. And I think they really solidified a foundation there. It wasn't like they wrapped it up, but it was one that, hey, okay, we're now all on the same page. We're all kind of pointing in the same direction, but Brandon Brown's still going to take visits. He's made that clear. And a Florida kid, you're always going to have to watch those in-state schools. But now, and we've known this for a little while, but it looks like LSU is going to get an official visit from him soon. And I think that's a big factor because, one, Bo Davis seems to be sticking his nose in a lot of Texas D-line targets. And two, but Brandon Brown has so much upside. There's no reason that 30, 40 schools haven't been coming after him. What's the latest on that Brandon Brown recruitment that you're hearing outside of the fact that he is going to visit LSU? And how much should Texas fans be cautiously optimistic over the next 6 to 7 months?
Yeah. So we're kind of watching it the same way we're watching KJ Lacey, except we feel a lot better about KJ Lacey. I just feel like Brandon Brown, I think there's just more wild cards in play. I worry a little bit about Florida, the in-state schools. And that's not just PTSD from losing DeAndre Robinson last year to Florida after the bell, right? I think you're going to have to watch the in-state schools here. I do think Texas has a chance to hold on. I think a lot of the things the reason that he committed to Texas were not necessarily Bo Davis driven. The school. I think he did a lot of research on the school prior to committing, and I think all that passed the test. But Kenny Baker's going to have to keep building the relationship. He went and saw him this spring. You got to keep getting him on campus. Going to have to get him in campus probably in the fall too. Right now, I'm cautiously optimistic. Not as optimistic as I am on them keeping Lacey. But I would say semi-optimistic. I think it's more likely than not that he stays in the class, but I definitely wouldn't stake my reputation on it.
I like that Kenny Baker's from that region in a sense, that SEC region. South Georgia, that's Florida, obviously, but they're close, and I like that Kenny's kind of got some ties there. Also, Coach Baker spent some serious time in Melbourne during the evaluation period. His mother, Naisha Brown, Brandon's mom, came up there and spent time with Coach Baker. And so, Coach Baker's putting in the mileage there. He understands, he's committed, but man, you got to hold on to it.
Yeah, I like hearing when the parents go up on the visit, right? When they know Coach is going to be in town and the parents go up there. We saw that last week or 2 weeks ago with Correll Chester, Caleb Chester's dad, going up there just to get a little FaceTime. Texas, doing their best they can to build those bonds. We'll see. I feel like maybe they'll hold on to him. He's definitely a priority. They're, Justin, better than I. They're doing all they can to hold on to him.
Absolutely. Shift onto the offensive side of the ball. Quarterback, running back, tight end, O-line recruiting has been pretty going smooth. Tight end is a spot that I think Texas needs to hit kind of big this cycle. Jatavian Sanders just went to the league. Gunnar Helm's going to put together a solid season. But, he's looking at all ACC. That's his motivation. But Texas needs to kind of They need to fill the cupboard back up. Emory Winston's in the boat already. Calhoun, Georgia. I don't see him going anywhere. I think him and Texas have a tremendous relationship. But this is a 2 tight end class. And if you go to InsideTexas.com, I posted a story yesterday on the latest on tight end recruiting, and it basically just went through the top 4 or 5 guys on the board and where they stand. And honestly, the story could have been summarized in one sentence. It's going to be Kiotti Armstrong or Nick Townsend. I'll let you tackle Nick, and I'll handle Big Kiotti. Nick Townsend, what's the latest you know there that you're hearing there, and what should Texas fans be paying attention to?
Well, it should be a 3 tight end class. That's the
In
ground
theory,
I've
yes.
staked out. That's the ground I've staked out on this. And normally roster management is kind of my forte. I was well ahead of the curve on defensive tackle being a huge issue. We're talking about 2 years ago. I was really worried about defensive tackle. I really think this should be a 3 tight end class because and a part of that has to do with Emory Winston's versatile skill set. Like that guy is running back, H back, tight end. Like you can do so many things with that, and then you can do so many things with Nick Townsend, and then Kiotti is sort of a unicorn for an inline tight end that can also be a devastating downfield threat. There's just not a lot of inline tight ends that are freak athletes, which Kiotti can be. When I went by Dekaney, there's a lot of talk about A&M or not A&M, Alabama and Texas. But right now, a lot of people are saying A&M. Now, if he goes to A&M, how likely is it that A&M gets Kiotti and Nick Townsend? I would say not very likely at all. Now, that would be devastating for me because I think Nick Townsend is a guaranteed NFL player. I think he's got the size, speed, tenacity for the position to be but I think he's better than Jatavian Sanders. No knock on Jatavian. Jatavian was a very natural, fluid athlete. I think Nick is an entirely different thing, man. I think that guy's going to the NFL. Now, if he ends up at A&M, are they going to get Kiotti and Nick Townsend? I would bet a lot of money that they would not.
And the thing also with Nick Townsend, you got to remember too, is he's got some old man strength. There's just something about his handshaking, something about his demeanor. He's a mature guy, and I think he's a D1 prospect on the defensive side. If for whatever reason he woke up and decided to play edge, Eric, how would he handle that?
Oh yeah, he beat both of us down with a handshake. He's got our skulls on his headboard. Just totally sunned us. He would be he's a D1 edge, no doubt. I mean, that guy could play anywhere in the country as an edge. He could play at Alabama as an edge for Nick Saban. When Nick was there and had just the whole run of guys. He's that good of an athlete. He's a total freak show. He'll be in the NFL. But Kiotti, if Kiotti works, Kiotti's guaranteed to be in the NFL too.
Yeah, Kiotti Armstrong, he resembles guys that walk across the stage the first day and get that bear hug, that awkward bear hug from Roger Goodell sometimes. Kiotti just built the last. We had a live stream on Wednesday night, and we had a ton of viewers. It was one of our best shows. And we had somebody ask me about Kiotti potentially growing into another position. And so I had to kind of lay the baseline on where that mindset is. Yes, Kiotti Armstrong could be a future offensive tackle and would probably be a lottery pick in the NFL draft when he ever declared. But if you want his recruitment, I wouldn't say that.
Yeah, I differ there. I don't think he'll ever grow into an OTD because there's a middle ground there between. All right, what are you going to do? Are you going to be 265-pound freak show at tight end, or are you going to dedicate yourself to weighing 305 pounds? Yeah. And then you lose like 2 or 3 years. I mean, there's so much gets lost in the wash there during that transition. That's why guys that make that transition, they go to JUCO first. They end up at parts unknown, and then they show up out of nowhere. I just don't see that. I don't think he's going to grow into an offensive tackle. We heard a lot about that with Spencer Shannon. He's got a ridiculous frame. We all know that. But I think he's going to stay lean enough to stay at tight end and be a total inline, just a NFL inline tight end like we see with, maybe not Kelsey, maybe not Kittle, but I mean, like he's got that upside to be NFL All-Pro. He does have that.
And he knows that. And here's the thing, I think, why Kiotti's so adamant at staying on offense. One, kids love to score touchdowns. Let's just keep it real. And playing offensive tackle isn't the most glamorous position on the field. But the thing I figured out, because I asked Coach Crimity at Jasper 9 months ago, is that kid an offensive tackle? And he said, not if you want him in your class. After we watched him play baseball, he has a hand-eye coordination that fits.
That's not an offensive tackle playing baseball. I mean, that's just not an offensive tackle. I saw him smack that double on that video that you had. dude, that
Yeah.
he's a unicorn inline tight end. Most of the inline tight ends, they have to grow into it. They're usually playing flex. They want to play wide receiver. They don't want anything to do with playing attached.
He'll
He's got
mix it
all
up.
that ability. I was talking when I my rounds through Belleville. Belleville knocked out Jasper late in the playoffs this year, and the Belleville's head coach was raving about. He's like, that kid's raw, but man, he did some things that I'm not sure I've ever seen before. That Look, dude, that guy, he's a freak. But now you're gonna have to develop him. Jeff Banks, if Jeff Banks is fortunate enough to get him, he's got a lot of work ahead of him to develop him. But that guy has NFL All Pro upside.
While we've noticed that and noted that Alabama and A&M are really, really in the hunt when it comes to Townsend with Armstrong, I think there's some momentum with Texas, Eric. I think Jeff Banks is really, when you let Jeff Banks dig into a recruitment, he's going to get to know the kid. And often it turns out well. Kiotti and Banks are getting a lot closer. And we had noted that before. We reported that about a month ago, and we're seeing more of that trend right now. And I want to say one more thing, and we've said it before. Ty Anthony Smith isn't going to be some big factor in this recruitment. That's not how this works. But he's got Kiotti's ear. That's a kid that Kiotti really looks up to. Ty Anthony Smith was the epitome of the Jasper do-it-all athlete for that program, and every coaches, students, teachers all looked up to him. Kiotti does too, and he leans on him for advice. Ty Anthony's not telling him to go to Texas. He's telling him, you make the best decision for you. He said, but for me, and if you want to come, there's nothing better than Austin. And I think that's a factor that goes under the radar a little bit. Ty Anthony's turned into a recruiter, Eric.
Well, that's the big brother approach you should have. Like, hey, do what's best for you, but here's why I made the decision. Texas had that video that they dropped of Ty Anthony maybe a couple months ago during the spring, and it was highlighting his meal, like how much he was eating and putting on weight, good weight. Yeah. And I couldn't help but think that was targeted towards a certain tight end in Jasper, because I didn't see them highlight a whole lot of other freshmen, in the early enrollees. Maybe they did, maybe I missed it, but it seemed like that was, to me, I saw that. The first thing I did was smile and laugh, like, all right, that was a direct message to Kiotti Armstrong. But hey, man, they love Ty Anthony in Texas. They think he's going to be a big deal. Just needs to keep putting on weight. And so, we'll see. Maybe they start a little Jasper, East Texas pipeline. I think you'd be all right with that.
Yeah, I'm not. That doesn't bother me one bit. I like that 2-hour, 15-minute drive. It's nice through the country, the piney woods.
It's Jasper to Austin is 2 hours and 15 minutes. That's it.
Oh no! I thought you said for me going to it.
You. Oh yeah. I was about to say, wait a minute. Hold on a second. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. It's
all right.
Yeah, not so bad, but and understand also, just kind of wrapping it up with Kiotti, everyone feels like there's a decision coming at the end of the summer, but he's pretty stuck on, he might want to make this decision in the fall. He might want to drag it out a little bit just to make sure, but we're going to get a really good sense after he takes these official visits. He's going to hit Texas A&M, LSU, Baylor, Auburn. His June schedule is loaded, so be sure to check that story out at InsideTexas.com. Eric, man, this was fun. This is always good. Friday mornings, inside the program. It doesn't get any better, Texas fans. Please like our video and subscribe to the Inside Texas Football YouTube channel. Hit that subscribe button. Come see us there at InsideTexas.com. IT1. That's the promo code to get you 2 months for only $1. We're giving away this info on a day-to-day basis, and we're having such a good time with our community, our members, our fans. It's so much fun to get mixed up into it. Any parting shots, my man, before we go and get some more work?
No, I can't wait. Hey, I can't wait for everybody to report and just start tackling the team information. That's by far what we do best, I think, and my favorite thing to do.
I can't wait, and Inside Texas fans, I can't wait to be in Nashville in a few days hanging out with Eazy-E at the On3 Elite Series.
Yeah, that'll be fun too.
There's going to be a ton of the top 50 recruits, a lot of Texas targets. That is going to be an absolute good time. Please, stay tuned to Inside Texas for plenty of updates. Thank you for watching the Inside Texas Football YouTube channel, powered by InsideTexas.com.